Here in the land of the internet, there are a few rules that very online individuals abide by. They are as follows. If it exists, there's porn of it. No exceptions. Not even the PlayStation 4 controller was spared this fate. Op will never deliver, no matter how much he claims he will. And your waifu will always be shit.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Hey, don't get mad at me for that last one. I don't make the rules, I just bribe the people who do. I'm not really saying every waifu is shit, just 99% of them. Heck, most people are as faithful to their waifus as Dr. Disrespect is to his wife.
Yikes!
But on a serious note, most of these waifus are seasonal. People claim devotion until the next chica comes along. I know that dance that took 80% of the show's entire budget was nice and easily memeable, but was there really anything more to her? Sure, there are some cute scenes with her, but when all is said and done, it's all pretty formulaic, even down to her hair color. What people forget is, anime is a business, and like any business, there are very few things that aren't tested, researched to make sure as many unwashed weebs as possible come flocking to buy their merchandise. If you think anime would be anywhere near profitable without this, you're living in a fantasy world. Not like a cool one like Sword Art or something, a bad one like ReZero, where you also don't have the ability to respawn. Enjoy that. No, the real waifus are the ones that have been around longer than you've been jacking off to questionably aged anime girls. Those are your Kusanagis from Ghost in the Shell, your Yokos from Gurren Lagann, and of course your blue-haired shorties from Lucky Star. But why are they the only true waifus? Am I just some sort of scrub that thinks classic anime is better? Does a waifu have to be around long enough that it can legally consent to have your Cheeto-covered fingers grab it before it's considered non-seasonal? Well, stick around, buckaroo. Your friend Faith's here to do all those big boy thinking thoughts so you don't have to. Just sit there, look pretty, and enjoy. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe and support us on Patreon so I can keep sinking money and time into all this pretty much irrelevant stuff. So, for me personally, and as we all know, my personal experience trumps any form of empirical data any day of the week. A real waifu is a character that you continually see being remade, an archetype per se. They may not be the same character, but god dang it, they're the same character. Think of Saber from the Fate series. Every main female character is different, but they're all the same flavor of Saber. You still have the same stubborn, tsundere, naive, and innocent little girl with a heart of gold. She set up a new standard for shonen characters, or really barely thinly disguised harem females who want to be more commercially viable. Oh yeah, if you're a Fate fanboy, fun fact, it's a hentai, at least originally. That scene where they touch in the anime to share power? No, yeah, are barely a 4 out of 10 protagonists fucked not one, but both of your waifus. You thought High-Dubs was a cock. I'm sure if you think for a moment and trace back the characters you like currently, you'd find a similar pattern between most of them. Characters like Kagami and Makoto Misaka are, for example, personality archetypes. The tsundere girls that, if you're into that kind of thing, represent and define two major categories of them, from the violent to the more bashful, from grounded and more realistic scenarios to the more fantastical. It may have even been the first time you learned the words to describe this personality, and every time you saw it since, you always came back to thinking about them. They became the poster children for girls who acted like they didn't want you but secretly did, and as such became the hope for you that all the girls that acted repulsed at your mere presence in school secretly wanted nothing more than to mount you right then and there. But it's this kind of staying power that keeps a character alive for a decade or more. Not to deviate too far from the topic of anime, but a good example of this I recently saw was with Eminem and Yellow Wolf. It was a documentary on what happened to Yellow Wolf, and it kind of outlines this phenomenon we see. Eminem is a famous rapper known for his skill in shock rap and for always attempting to train the next generation. But when he took on Yellow Wolf, something happened that hadn't happened before. Yellow Wolf was constantly compared to him. Despite not having the same storytelling methodology or even participating in the same brand of shock rap, it was simply because they were both white. Yellow Wolf was the first white rapper taken under Shady. And as such, with Shady's pinching for grooming the next generation like some sort of creepy Discord admin, there were rumors aplenty he was going to be his replacement because of some similar traits they had. Whenever someone looked at Yellow Wolf, they were always thinking about Shady. And despite Yellow Wolf being a great artist in his own right, he could never really escape the shadow of his shady boss. But it's not just archetypal, it's generational. The Major from Ghost in the Shell is one of my all-time favorites, so much so I have a studio covered in her posters. Hell, my hair is purple, probably from her influence. She was probably one of the first strong female characters I've ever studied in media, one I grew up watching, one that wasn't simply disregarding her sexuality to be some sort of sexless female, while also not being a mindless piece of eye candy for the human gaze. Someone who seemed completely in control of herself and her surroundings without feeling like a Mary Sue. For an entire group of people, this was the first time we've seen a character like her, though obviously she wasn't the first, and she'll probably not be the last type of this character. It's no secret though that we have a fondness for our first time riding our bike, our first kiss, our first time having sex. Though, given my audience and the subject nature, I hope you at least experience one of those things. Consensually. My point is, because we grew up watching these characters, we are inherently tied to them. They weren't perfect and they weren't the first, but they were all we knew. As you grow up, your tastes are refined, but no matter what, there will always be nostalgia for the classics, or whatever is classic for you. Regrettably, the classics for some kids leave a lot to be desired. That being said, I'd be doing a disservice to regard the Major and most of these early 2000s and late 90s characters as mere nostalgia bait. If that's all it took, shows like Mare, Prince of Tennis, Hikaru no Go, and others would be dominating every top 10 list, as these were some of the first animes aired on Cartoon Network that were heavily promoted. Going so far as offering their content on Cartoon Network's now defunct online streaming service for free. But I'd hazard a guess, most of you don't even recall Mare as being one of the first isekais, or Hikaru no Go as being a glorified chess anime that you still watched. Despite bringing something new to your young minds, it didn't bring something new. Ghost in the Shell probably was one of the first animes to bring the cyberpunk style to a lot of people while introducing them to a completely different genre of music that they probably hadn't been exposed to. It even taught you a bit about what may sound pretentious now, but alternative approaches to reality itself, even if you were a bit too young to fully process it. Fully Cooley was a coming-of-age story with a protagonist you may have somewhat realistically pictured yourself as, a normal teen with no real powers to think of, but was still seen as an important piece of the puzzle, someone who had a defined and obvious purpose in the show, something most people long for later in life without really exactly knowing what it is that they're searching for. People just want to be wanted. Gurren Lagann brought to the table some of the most unique storytelling elements that extended a single season of content to feeling like 3 clearly defined arcs, with more than interesting character designs with striking colors and poses, while also being able to maintain an exceptional high level of quality in regards to animation throughout the entire series. Also, Yoko was hot. That might have counted for like 99% of the reason why it's remembered, actually. I could go on, but what I'm saying is it's not just a sense of nostalgia, but also more. There are elements of the story and character that get cemented in that teeny prepubescent mind of yours. Lastly, and maybe even most importantly, to have a real waifu is the silhouette of the character. Go ahead, picture whoever your waifu is, be it old or new. There's probably some iconic pose you can think of regarding them. Now take that pose and remove all the colors until you're just left with a black shape. If you saw this black shape, would you be able to identify who it was? What does the pose tell you about the character? Your waifu should be able to be picked out of a lineup easily and should convey some info about them. Poses tell a lot about a character, from personality to the general vibe of their story. I'm looking at seasonal waifu number 32 over here, and all I see is the form of an overflowing trash can on garbage day. These are all things that you don't consciously necessarily think of unless you're a really hardcore nerd, but it's something that does have a big impact on you. It's something people spend millions and hundreds to thousands of hours working on. Games like TF2 wanted to make sure that their outline of a player was easily distinguishable and told you all you needed to know about the character. Cosmetics excluded, of course. Being able to be recognized with as few details as possible is an industry worth billions to people. It's why the Nike swoosh doesn't need to say Nike, why McDonald's arches don't need to tell you it's McDonald's, why Gucci only needs 2 colors to tell you it's time to empty your wallet, and why Supreme literally just needs their name. And while these are all traditional products, make no mistake, your waifu, shit or not, is a product. They are designed to get you to simp as hard as possible so you're more likely to open your wallet as wide as possible. These are all the principles that they want to take in consideration when designing the character. It's the difference between fast food and a gourmet meal. It's the difference between seasonal and something that can last you a lifetime. It's the difference between eating out and your mom telling you that you have food at home. I'm not here to tell you that you can't like these seasonal waifus. They're engineered to make it so that you want to like them. At least for a little bit. Just that they're shit. And if you consume trash, well, you are what you eat. But hey, the generational thing plays a huge part in everything, and like they say, one man's trash is another man's half-eating Big Mac that they scrounge from the garbage because they're a starving college student. So I get it. Keep liking your pink-haired generic waifus that you'll probably forget about when their seasons come to an end. From the trash they came, into the trash they shall return. But they do serve a purpose. They are that gateway drug to help you refine your taste. They're that first hit before you sink $2,000 into a plastic figurine of a fictional high school girl from a show that aired 10 years ago with only 1 season. Besides, your discarded waifu will be picked up by some 14-year-old kid who took a break from Fortnite dancing to Google top 10 animes to watch in 2020X. And you know, maybe, if the stars align, your trash waifu might become a waifu for lifeu for one of these loin spawns. Hey, it can happen. But I've been Faith the Moliminous. I thank you for watching. I love your faces, so I hope you at least like my video, and I will see you in the next one.